up, YouTube? Andy, big news today. It's big news day. A lot of scoops. We're not trying to outscoop the scoopers, but can you break down what we're going to talk about today? Because we're talking about Ring of Honor, but something specific happened.
Yeah, Ring of Honor announcing today that they are going to go on hiatus for the first quarter of 2022, with a tentative return for April of 2022. And all personnel were released from their contract as part of their, quote, pivot to reimagine the company. So they're going to take some time off. They're essentially going to stop promoting for following Final Battle in December. And they're going to take the winter off, basically, and come back in the spring, and we're going to see a reimagined Ring of Honor. Now, what that could be, well, remains to be seen. But this is kind of, it seems to be a shock to people that aren't necessarily really paying attention of Ring of Honor. You know, that the name carries so much weight as a brand and as a place that so much wrestling history has occurred. But if you're paying attention, this isn't really that big of a surprise.
Yeah. Well, when you say, I didn't read completely into it about the hiatus. I didn't know about that. Now, when I hear hiatus, I think of WCW right before they folded.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, it's very similar to what WCW was hoping to do with the Big Bang, where they were going to kind of, take some time off and then come back as a new company as a kind of a rebranding. Almost certainly what's happening here, although you have to be nervous until you see them start to promote their next show. Because if not, what is hiatus? And I use that word specifically because I almost wanted to use sabbatical, because the intent here is to return. Now, that could or could go. I'm not sure if that's. We're just gonna have to see because it's so far away at this point, and if this is Sinclair's decision, if this is Ring of Honor management decision, we need to kind of get a little bit more info as to who's making this call.
Yeah, I think what has everybody in a tizzy, especially on the internet, is because Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, he dropped the news with one line saying that everybody's released from their contracts. But that, to me, implied a lot of other different separate things. The first thing I thought was, hey, they're probably going to switch the contract structure system around so that a lot of wrestlers will be on more of a per diem sort of deal. And I mean, that's, I think a lot of AEW wrestlers, aside from the main talent, the main stars that we see every single week, a lot of people are on, per diem dates per day. Makes more sense. It means that you can get a lot more outside talent without having to sign them into anything. Yeah, like you said, it's a little bit too soon to tell what exactly this means. But if you have been paying attention the past 2-3 years, are you surprised? I'm not. I don't mean to be like cynical about it, but yeah, pivot. That's the buzzword in the business world.
Yeah, that's a Sinclair word. That's
yes.
Definitely a corporate synergy kind of buzzword, and that's
got to have grit.
To my understanding, ROH was always just kind of a content farm for Sinclair Broadcasting, where they weren't really so much a wrestling promotion as they were strictly a TV show, because that's Sinclair's main focus is putting out television. Now, you could argue that they didn't do the best job because I know most markets had it on at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday, just really
out here quite later. I would catch it. I remember watching the ROH Madison Square Garden triple threat match at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not they make you go out of your way, and it's already such a niche product for hardcore fans, that it just, always kind of wondered how valuable the brand was to begin with, and their live attendance, if you had watched any pay-per-views in 2019 leading up to the G1 Supercard, or especially after the G1 Supercard, for Matt Taven's reign as ROH champion, those crowds were dwindling. Even strong markets that they would run, Summer Card of Honor was particularly
sleepy, if I recall.
Very sleepy, with the man in the front row taking a nap. So that's kind of a summary of ROH in a nutshell. Is Yeah, during a world title match for the company, you have a guy sleeping in the front row, and that was only about 2 years ago. That was pre-pandemic. Of course, with the pandemic, ROH very famously kind of popped their collar a little bit, saying and they even reference it in their statement today that they did not release anybody during the pandemic, and
They waited till
to their
after the
credit,
pandemic.
I kind of wonder because it's you think about all the people that got released almost immediately by WWE. A lot of them ended up finding work pretty quickly, or it was at the kind of the genesis of AEW where a lot of people ended up showing up there. And right now, the landscape as far as the two major companies is that they're kind of full. I would say I think both companies have just almost too much talent. You kind of wonder in like a sports sense or especially a basketball sense, do we have too many guys? Like, are there just too many people here? So I just don't see even the cream of the crop. Like, you got to assume that Roosh is going to get picked up by somebody. You would hope, but where do you factor him in just immediately? He's a top guy.
Well,
He could
Roosh
probably
was
go to
trying to
Mexico.
launch his own thing. He had his own. Well, I forget the name of it, but he was trying to launch his own company. I mean, with a couple, Bandito and Roosh and Dragon Lee particularly, I think they have more options because they're huge stars in Mexico as well. So
Yeah,
the landscape is a little wider for them. Um, I think going to ROH, especially for Roosh, I mean, getting him in front of American eyeballs that year, he did a great job for what he was given. And yeah, they're doing their thing. But uh, yeah, like you said, it's full. Even New Japan. New Japan just not launched. They just announced that they're going to have another free, like a YouTube show of all the unaired matches from some of their past recordings and tapings, like Resurgence. So even companies that aren't number one or number two, they're full too. There's a glut for sure.
yes. It's funny you mentioned one and two because I one of the things I wanted to do was all right. So at some point, I think we can all agree that ROH was consensus at least number three promotion in the country.
Technically, I would say
Technically,
around
all right.
2018, 2017, especially when that New Japan ROH deal, the talent sharing, that's when the Ring of Honor, the Honor Club, that launched around then too. They were doing a lot of live shows. Um, I remember in my brain, this all really got hotter than ever when Kenny Omega came to ROH. It was like in Wisconsin or something, and he headlined. I think it was just a house show against Yoshihashi. Okay, and it sold out. Um, because at the time there was it was niche and nobody had the chance to see that stuff live. Now there's been a lot in the past 4 years. Um, there's a lot of layers to peel back. It's not exactly cut and dried, and that it's not like the WCW situation where there was just tons of money floating around and it just went out the door. And that was a relatively short window of time when that all happened. It kind of that last year, just a lot of stuff happened, and yeah, that's a whole different story with ROH. The one thing that makes me really want to look deeper into the ROH situation is let's talk about Impact, because Impact and ROH kind of had a similar trajectory, not the same history, but they've been around for about the same amount of time, around 20 years almost. But with Impact, and we can confirm this with our buddies on Brace for Impact, Mike Gilbert and JD Oliva, Impact has, for some reason, somehow, they have a distinct fan base that will not desert Impact. ROH, I don't feel has that.
They
I never
did.
noticed that. They did, yeah.
Here's what I want to do. I want to just stop me when you think ROH is a bigger deal than any of the promotions I'm about to say. So like, okay, WWE and
So you're talking
AEW.
ROH 2021.
Yeah,
Okay.
as it stays. So WWE or AEW. Okay, obviously, Impact.
I think Impact, especially with the AEW rub earlier this year, they have to be looked at as, if you're palling around with the cool guys, you're temporarily a cool guy, right?
Yeah, I say without a doubt. All right,
Yeah.
MLW.
MLW has well, okay, this is interesting. Do they have a better TV deal than ROH? I think not. Now, it's on. national cable at a specific time, and it pulls a specific rating. But we have to remember, although it's harder to gauge the regional sports network like situation that Sinclair has. ROH is everywhere sometime, but people are going to see it. So that's actually a very, I think, in the eyes of hardcore wrestling fans, MLW is more respected. But I think real world, big picture situation, I think ROH does have a little bit of a one up on them because of the Sinclair factor.
Okay, last one. NWA.
Is NWA a company? Like, are they still like
As much as ROH is, if you want to get technical with that, like I think they're at least a promotion, or at least
they got a regular show again? Yeah. Um,
they when there's a big show, they have, I guess, big names. Like Nick Aldis is who he is, and
sure.
obviously put a lot of pride into holding that title, and
I,
definitely raised its profile. But if you were to go, I just couldn't see the ROH championship being defended on like an AEW pay per view. But I could see the NWA World's title being, well, obviously too because of the lineage,
but also vice
um,
versa. I don't mean to like say that to like demote NWA in any way. I just feel like it's more of an event based situation where it's not NWA like Crockett NWA. It's Billy Corgan's NWA. It's fine.
yeah,
But they've had this on and off thing where it's like they close the doors and they open the doors up and so and the ROH and NWA were kind of palling around for a bit together. So there was
that's
like
true. Yeah,
it was almost like it was its own entity. But when I was covering it for the Observer, there were some like regular NWA segments on it. So NWA is kind of an outlier. They had the regular show, and I don't know. Um, okay, and let's bring this up because I guess we have to talk about it eventually because Marty Scurll was a part of both of those.
yeah,
But he was supposed to be spearheading the new ROH 2.0
yes.
and
I think
NWA. He was a part of that too.
I think it's a big what if for this company right now. Just it seemed like they had a lot of forward progress, around the time of the G1 Supercard, that Marty was kind of coming in to take over, and things were going to kind of change. It wasn't going to be just delirious booking anymore, and now there was kind of a different mind. And yeah, he's out because of speaking out movement, and what ROH is kind of looking around, and they just see Delirious standing there with his arms crossed, like, yep, here we go. And he's back in charge, and it's the same. It's literally like when Marty Scurll took over, there was a lot of excitement because ROH was in a rut, big time, and there was a lot of excitement, and you could really sense that things were changing. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, mom's new boyfriend moved away. We have to. It's back to Delirious, and nothing changed from when they basically went right back to the rut that they were in before there was that rumbling about this changing of the guard.
And you mean
And yeah,
creative rut, right?
creatively,
Right.
oh, absolutely, just creative rut. But you have to wonder because of, Marty Scurll was a member of the Elite, and there's all of this cross promotion between brands and the Forbidden Door and what have you, and it's really hard to not see the ROH AEW relationship kind of growing together. And in some alternate reality, ROH is the promotion whose profile AEW raised instead of Impact. They could have
Right.
done that whole angle there. And maybe that was the whole idea is they were planning to do that with ROH and then they couldn't, so they just did it with Impact. We don't know. It seemed, but it's a big what if, and it's we'll never know. But I think that was pretty much one of the man. ROH never recovered. They really never did, and they just sunk and sunk. And then the pandemic came, and they kind of had a way to just exist without actually having to promote shows. And again, they, to their credit, to until today, the best thing you could have said is ROH kept everybody through a pandemic where a lot of companies, specifically WWE, were laying people off. And to kind of do it now and to kind of frame it as a, we're going to be under new management or, remodeling or
It's
something.
pivot.
Yeah, the pivot. What are they going to do? Are they a basketball team now? Like
Mm.
what are they? It's going to be a reality show about
I hope they rebound.
heyo.
Love basketballs. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't think we know enough exactly. Like,
Really quickly, who would
mm,
you say is, if you're Tony Khan, if you're Bruce Pritchard, who are you looking at? Like, give me a couple names that you think
okay.
could kind of make a jump. I guess.
Well, the first two that come to mind, they're kind of already in the situation with New Japan. I would say Brody King, Chris Dickinson. I mean, those
Yes.
guys are money, but so
Yeah,
they
I hope
kind
so.
of they're
Brody's
kind of
awesome.
associated. Brody King, he could blow up anywhere. Same with Chris Dickinson. But for AEW or WWE, PCO, PCO, somebody get their hooks in
Wow.
them. Get
Yeah.
AEW with PCO. Have them do those mini movies of him pretty much doing, we'll call it self jackass, where he's lighting his tongue on fire and throwing refrigerators off of balconies. I love that because that's actually quite old school. That's quite Mad Dog Bachon. That's quite you're showing how extreme and how wild this guy is. And even despite his age, that has nothing to do with. And okay, let's go back to 2019 for a second. He's one of these guys who came into ROH around, I think, at the beginning of 2019 and left unscathed, unassociated with any of what we're talking about, of like the stink that we can sometimes talk about of the 2019 ROH, the kind of bad decisions that were made both creatively and otherwise. He
Oh, I
never
mean, he was
he
he
was
was by
outside
far
of
one of the
that.
highlights. He was absolutely one of the highlights. If anything, was the emergence of this PCO character. Like, and that's just kind of the that. Beyond that, though, ROH had, and not to derail your point, just it's like that's of if you think about successes they had, like okay, Cody Rhodes as champion was pretty successful, but he's doing his own thing.
I
And
never
then
felt like that was a ROH run. I felt that was a Cody Rhodes doing PR for ROH that year
yeah, that's fair.
because
I
he
mean,
was hot, because he just left. He made his famous Twitter list of wrestlers he wanted to face. It was his thing. I didn't see it as an ROH thing. Like, did anybody really care when he, like, sorry, but like him and Dalton Castle, they had a good match, but was that really drawing lots of people to come see ROH? I think they wanted to see what would happen with Cody because he was the big star. That's the
yeah, I
truth.
was also I speaking of Dalton Castle, who I pick on a lot, but he's from the Albany area, so shout out to you,
Great
Dalton. But
wrestler.
yeah, I just he that run, I feel like he got hurt, and it's just like if he could have been, if not for that, I think it's another what if. Not to bombard you with
No, and he had like they put him in a situation I remember with Roosh, and what they did, it was it was fine, but it just didn't really make sense. Sorry, the sun is like setting on my face. I guess I'm just totally 100% correct. Ah, um, all right. Uh, yeah. So okay, other talent. Okay, one other talent I think would absolutely, he needs to be seen. He needs to be on top. He needs to be in the forefront. Jonathan Gresham.
mm,
Jonathan Gresham. I want to see Jonathan Gresham versus Brian Danielson. Please let this happen. It
yeah,
needs to happen on AEW TV. And if
it's like
anybody's going to leave the company and represent ROH now, he's the guy.
yeah,
Absolutely. The guy is
absolutely,
so
yeah.
underrated. The guy, he he's one of those guys, you see him, you don't see him for a while, you come back and he's been training harder and he's better and he's bigger. Love Jonathan Gresham. How can you not love Jonathan Gresham? And it sucks that he and a lot of other great wrestlers, they do get caught up in this, whatever happened. He's not somebody you want to release. No
Mm,
way. No way. See, I'm right.
yeah, there you go.
The heavens are shining down on me. I can control it too. Well, hey. Okay. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. I looked over the roster. I you're gonna find this answer ironic because of knowing me for so long, but I think I would really like to see Matt Taven get a shot somewhere.
I agree. I
completely
agree.
warm. For context, I've just been one of Matt Taven's biggest critics for about the entire time I've known about him, and I have really warmed up to the guy. Excuse me. And yeah, I'd really love to see him kind of do something in the big leagues, or even just in a higher profile than Ring of Honor. He's been very loyal to the company, and obviously he got rewarded with that world title run. And say what you will about the booking, but I don't think it was Matt Taven's fault necessarily that the company was in the state it was when they decided to make him champion. But
No way.
um,
I think he
he's a main event
really,
guy. I think
yeah.
he's definitely up there in that upper echelon of ROH guys, and it's just he had been there so long that he's kind of doing these like blood feuds with Vincent, and he's just that's literally has been his booking for like literally 2 years. Like, so I'd love to see him doing something different. He's a charismatic guy. Got great hair, so why not? He
He
finally got
was
rid of that. That mohawk was awful. I'm so glad he's. Oh man.
he was one of the high points. He always got the shit end of the stick because he was, chosen to be a champion. But people go and look at his run in CMLL. He was a massive heel. He works. He can go. He's a great wrestler. He's with a great personality. He can talk. He's just, if if you're in the wrong situation, you can only do so much. I remember him having such a great match. I forget where it was. It was with Mark Haskins. You do a great impression of Bobby Cruz doing Mark Haskins. Can we do a little sidebar on that?
Mark. No, I ruined that one. Maybe later. That my voice.
It's there. Maybe on Break It Down with Keela. You
Yeah,
can
I'd love
bring
to.
that up.
Shout out to Keela. Miss you, girl.
What's up, girl? Okay. Mark Haskins, Matt Taven had a great match. Great match. It was one of the best of that time period. I think it might have been after the G1 Supercard. Okay. Great match. That was. How do you think it ended? Let me let you guess.
Double count out, brawl to the back.
Very close. Bully Ray came out and he distracted Mark Haskins and it just kind of schmozzed out. And it was just like, and that was happening all the time. It's just like, really, really, really? It was so good. And then it's like somebody popped a pin into the balloon. Like, why? Because it didn't lead to anywhere because nobody's there anymore. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You can plan out. You can say A is going to go to B, is going to go to C, and it's going to D. But none of that ever happened, especially that year. Okay, when the creative sucks, no one wants to be there. Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody wants to be at the lame kids table. Mm-hmm. And especially when the lame kids don't realize that they're being lame. That's truth. That's all I gotta say.
I just thought Joe Hendry when you said that. I don't know why.
Joe Hendry, he another guy that got poor. It was just a bad timing thing. The tune was growing on me a lot.
Talk about a guy who could probably get over in NXT though. Like, maybe,
sure.
I don't know about this, NXT 2.0 because he's not Braun Breaker, but he could.
We just call him Steiner for fuck's sake.
The original NXT. Of the Bull Dempsey era, Joe Hendry would have been over like crazy. So I just think he's creative enough and talented enough to do that.
Maybe he's working on an album right now. I don't know.
Yeah, he'll also be fine though. Like, what's Josh Woods gonna do?
Josh Woods should do Bloodsport. That's something he should do.
All right. What about? Let's see. Where else we can book everybody else? Like.
I just had one. I had one in my head. Not he. Slex from Australia. He came the month or the week like before everything shut down. Like they signed him to a contract. He had a great match, I remember, and I hate three-way matches. It was him and Bandito, Marty Scurll. I thought it was a really cool, fast-paced TV match. And it's just like with the visa situations, it really sucks. That really, really sucks for him. And being in Australia, it's not like you could just up and drive down to wherever. You can drive down to Baltimore whenever you feel like it. It's that when you think about it like that, you just go, man, that really stinks. So I hope he gets some sort of deal someday. He was very talented. There's a lot of talent. But like you said,
I saw Danhausen was on the Jericho cruise. So
Danhausen, I don't even. he's like Rick and Morty come to life. I mean, AEW is the no brainer for me. That's where I would see
Oh,
him.
without a doubt. I mean, you couldn't do the Danhausen gimmick in WWE, or like Vince
You
wouldn't do it.
could, but
He wouldn't get it. I don't think he would. I think it would just be okay. Well, I had a character like you. He was called the Boogeyman. So you're the new Boogeyman, You're the Danhausen man.
I
Manhausen.
I
There you go.
mean,
There's your NXT name, Danhausen. It's Manhausen.
the reason that Danhausen got over is because he was allowed to come up with this gimmick. I'm not a fan, but doesn't matter because he's way more over than like who cares what I think? He's over. Whatever he's doing, people love it. And when it's that easy and it's that clear, I don't understand why somebody has to micromanage. Just let the fans enjoy what they enjoy and let the artists do what they want to do. It's very simple. I don't get what I mean, I get it kind of, but I don't like it, but it doesn't matter because I'm not the majority. I'm in the minority, clearly. He's very popular. So just let him go. Same with Orange
And,
Cassidy. Let it go.
and
Like Frozen.
Orange Cassidy.
Let it go.
Orange Cassidy, extremely talented in ring wise, but I'm not super familiar with Danhausen's wrestling, but I mostly know him as a
He's no
character.
Tanahashi, let me tell you.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that he was a real Dean Malenko out there. So
Real technician, huh?
I think,
but you know what? That's not he doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need to do that.
Well, to that point, it's great to have guys on the roster who can entertain a crowd that have no, that you don't have to book like a world champion. That you can book you can book him however he's Danhausen. People
it's entertainment. People go to see that shit.
There's total value in him, and I wish there was some members of the women's roster I could say the same about, but I mean,
unfortunately not. Yeah,
I don't think Maria
Nicole
Kanellis
Savoy. I don't know. I don't know if she's like on the roster. I don't know who they signed and who they didn't. I know like the core of who they have is just kind of like there are a lot of homie deals. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. She did love.
She's she had a couple good matches with Sumi Sakai before the wrap up or whatever. Huh. Where's Cheeseburger go? Where's Cheeseburger
Japan.
going? I'm telling you, dude, this guy he's not like funny, ironic over in Japan. Like he's over in Japan. He's big. It was a couple years
with like Toro Yano or something. Have a run like.
Yeah.
What's
I saw him, I saw him at the Tokyo Dome. He was in one of the opening Rumble, Cheeseburger, and I think he made it to the end with Mike Elgin. Okay, mm-hmm. I was really like way up in the stands. These drunk kind of salarymen. This is like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon too. They were losing their minds for Cheeseburger. They wanted him to win so badly. That people love Cheeseburger in Japan. If he gets a chance, send him there and let him be. He'll become just the ultimate like the double cheeseburger, triple cheeseburger, whatever they need. And but even Japan is becoming a really hard kind of option. New Japan is very picky. I know Buddy Murphy's going there, but like
that's cool.
Yeah, he's going to debut soon. I think he's debuting at the San Jose show. But
is he still going by Buddy?
He's Buddy Matthews.
Is that his real name though?
I do not know. I don't know,
man. I would.
Let's ask CJ from Fight Game.
Yeah, shout out to CJ Trey.
Maybe it's a Bogan thing.
Yeah, is it a cool thing? Like I don't know. To me, it's just like
I don't know.
It's
what's up, buddy?
Name a stuffed animal, Buddy, or like.
I kind of that's what like if you're messing with somebody like, hey, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, it's not.
Like I'm messing with somebody.
I don't see like Buddy isn't tough. It's not a tough name.
I think of we might have like a tainted view of it because I remember when I was growing up there was like a male doll called My Buddy.
Yes,
My Buddy.
Yep.
So that's what I think of, My Buddy Matthews. But he's not like that. He's not my buddy. He's his buddy. Maybe he'll show up in I don't know, ROH or will it be the final battle in December? Will it be the final battle? That joke's been made a lot already, but I had to bring it up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, how do you book the main event of that show? Like, what do? You
just put to be continued at the end.
So, like, yeah, with the roster they have now, like, and I'm just gonna assume that Roosh won't be there for some reason. I just feel like he's gonna.
Is he still the champion? Technically, he's not the champion, is he?
No, the champion is Bandito, and the ROH TV champion is Dragon Lee. The pure champion is Josh Woods. The tag champions are Kenny King and Dragon Lee. And the six-man champions are Shane Taylor Promotions. Oh, and the women's champion is Roxy. So it's just a rundown of the current champions in ROH for you. But yeah, Bandito. And apparently number one contender is Brody King currently. So that's cool.
For him.
You would think, I don't know. I just think if you're closing your doors for a while, the guy that wins the title should be somebody you are absolutely 100% planning to bring back. As you know, it would be really weird to do a reboot like that. I don't know. I just think you should definitely have. I mean, if they don't know what their plan is by Final Battle, then you know, I mean, Vincent is the number 2 contender. We do have rankings, by the way. Number 3 is Alex Zane.
He was just in NXT like a month ago.
Shout out to Brian Zane. Why isn't he on this list?
He was one of the high points before they folded. I saw he was doing like backstage interviews and stuff. He's great.
Yeah. No, he has a certain gravitas that I think only comes from watching as much wrestling as that guy has. So
him and Riccaboni are awesome. The commentaries team has been good.
Sure. I think he's a no-brainer to get signed somewhere.
He's hands down one of the best things about the company the past couple of years.
I would be really surprised if he wasn't there. I would be really surprised if Riccaboni wasn't there. You know, Caprice. What did he when he found out the news today? Did we get an oh my god?
Yeah,
I hope so.
I love my Caprice. Caprice is great too. I liked when he did the New Japan commentary too. He's excitable, but it's like a real excitement. He loves wrestling, and it's the simple stuff that will connect. And they didn't have enough of that simple stuff that connected with people. And now they're releasing all the people.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, I just, it's, so yeah, we'll see where they go. I just hope we find out more in the coming days or, you know, even other shows beyond Final Battle, or if they're just going to build to this one show and then shut the lights off.
Yeah, and I wonder what will happen to the library. And one thing, okay, before we wrap, one thing I would love to see if they do come through with this pivot, I would love to see the ROH logo updated. Let's get rid of the Goldberg, the tribal.
Oh, wow. Yes, it's awful.
Oh, boy. Sorry for those. Well, I'm not sorry to those who like it out there. I don't get it. It's not only like outdated, it's tacky. It's the reason why people don't want to watch. Well, let me back that up a little bit. It's one of those things that if you see it, you're going to connect with it or you're not going to connect with it immediately. And I think the majority of people, especially in 2021, especially that coveted 1849 demo, they don't connect with the tribal tattoo logo. Anything else, just bold letters.
This looks like the logo for a band that opens for Godsmack in 2021. Like, no way. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yo, Shawley.
It's pretty bad, and I couldn't agree with you more there. I think it's just so dated. It screams. I mean, I felt like it was probably outdated when they introduced it, but this doesn't speak to the same demographic that they're looking for anymore. And yeah, the tribal tattoo is pretty rough. The barbed wire or whatever. It's
not representative of Ring of Honor of the past. It's not representative of what they were doing then or now. It's just, you know. I know people might say it's like overblown, but dude, it's something that puts a bad taste in your mouth right from the beginning with a lot of people, and me included. If your branding isn't on point, if your tagline is the best wrestling in the world, when you know it's not the best wrestling in the world, it's not. It's not. Come on, people. Just change things up and just like 30 seconds of thinking, minute maybe. Come on. And I'm saying this and I'm getting all worked up because we want it to be good. And I don't think it's that hard to, you know, twist it up a little bit, pivot a little bit, and let's see what happens. I don't know. We're hoping for the best. We're being stern, but we're fair. Stern but fair.
Yes, stern but fair. Absolutely. I think they did whatever they could with the roster they had, and I think just the feuds they were presenting were just either okay.
Styles Young versus PJ Black. Put it in my veins, baby.
Yeah, or like Bandito. Like now you face Roosh, or they were just kind of cycling guys in and out of things, and there was really no. I mean, their example of long-term booking was the Josh Woods Silas Young feud, where they were a dysfunctional tag team for I don't know a year, and then oh my god, you kidding me? They're gonna fight now, or the Vincent Matt Taven 2-year epic feud of just awfulness from Vincent's gimmick is just nails on a chalkboard for me. So
you don't like horror, bro?
Oh man, you are not Rob Zombie. Is all I can say.
No all right, let's try. Let's wrap this on a more positive.
Yeah, that's a great place. Let's no more Vincent talk.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant just to say something different. But okay. Yeah. And well, expect more ROH related stuff from us soon. We're not going to spill the beans just yet, but expect a little more. So
yeah, the big reason we wanted to kind of get on the air and talk about this stuff today. Yeah, looking to kind of delve more into what went wrong with ROH soon, and only on Fight Game Media.
Yeah, and if you have comments on what we're talking about right now, just leave them down in the comments below the video, and we'll get back to you. If you're subscribed to the Patreon, leave comments there too. Check out Andy's show with Kale Cash, break it down. There's lots and lots of, not just, there's like almost an archive of almost a year. We've been doing this for a year. Whew.
Yeah.
I got
anniversary with Keyless coming up. I gotta
yeah. Nice. When's your next show?
That's a great question. It's depends on what WWE's next pay-per-view is. So
no Crown Jewel coverage?
We did a really brief Crown Jewel preview on the last pod we did, but no, we decided not to cover Crown Jewel. And instead we I know we'll be back for Survivor Series, obviously, but probably the Survivor Series weekend, and if NXT ends up doing a big show, we usually cover those as well. But I know for a fact the Day 1 pay-per-view and New Year's Day will definitely be on the air for that one.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure this will probably be NXT 2.0's first, big takeover, or maybe they'll call it something else. I don't know. But
this is a weird time in their calendar schedule, because Crown Jewel, they canceled TLC at the end of the year.
Right, right.
It's like WWE is almost taking a hiatus, at least from the big shows. So,
well,
for what they normally put out.
Well, keep an eye out on the news. Keep an eye out on fightgamemedia.com. Subscribe to the Patreon because it's awesome. We're there. I got High Tension with JD Oliva. I got Write That Down with Fumi Saito. Got some new stuff coming, so check that out. So I guess for Andy, I'm Justin. We'll talk to you next time.